Now, Accuracy in Media's president, Adam Guillette, has been leading the charge to call out these anti-Semites on college campuses. He says his billboards have been attacked with bricks and his staff members have been assaulted. He also says his own home has been swatted no fewer than 8 times. And he adds, for anyone who isn't aware of what that means, in terms, this is when you get a fake call that's made to law enforcement reporting hostage situations or other serious crimes taking place, then prompting armed police to come to the house, putting the family's life in grave danger. And joining us now with more on this mission is the man himself, Accuracy in Media President Adam Guillette. Adam, as always, great to see you. So I just want to clarify some stuff, before we keep talking about this. The truck sent to Claudine Gay's residence. This isn't her actual private home, right?
This is an on-campus official residence that they have a whole website devoted to on the harvard.edu webpage where they publish the address and details about the home. It's like visiting the White House. There's a massive gate with a huge yard behind it. And then off in the distance is the president. And that's where we sent 4 mobile billboards.
Yeah, you've been attacked for doing that because they're like, well, that's not nice. He's going to her home. Meanwhile, you're getting swatted.
Yeah, the best part, they call it doxing.
Right.
This is an address that's openly published on the harvard.edu website with pictures. That's like saying we dox the prime minister. He lives at 10 Downing Street. We dox the president. He lives on Pennsylvania Avenue. But that's the best defense they've got when they're engaged in horrible, racist, violent anti-Semitism.
Adam, I want to read a tweet from the NAACP's president. Let's pull it up. And here's what it says. It says, "Enough is enough. Harvard President Claudine Gay is a distinguished scholar and professor with decades of service and higher education. The recent attacks on her leadership are nothing more than political theatrics advancing a white supremacist agenda." Okay, so the fact that she's an anti-Semite, I guess that's okay. But we're just going to play the race card here, Adam. UPenn's and MIT's presidents, they're both white.
Yeah, and I never knew that Jews were white supremacists.
Yeah,
that's about as funny as noticing that they put Jews in the oppressor category. I'm Jewish, but anybody who's done the slightest bit of history reading into the history of Jews, we're not exactly oppressors. The joke is that we're the chosen people. Maybe next time God can choose somebody else, because the going for Jews hasn't been too easy, particularly in the past 100 years. My family had to flee Tsarist Russia from violent pogroms. And thankfully, they got up before the communists eradicated Jews and before the Nazis eradicated Jews. So the notion that these radicals and these racists can claim that we are oppressors is laughable at best.
You and I have a similar history. Came here from the former USSR, same thing. So much for being white oppressors. I don't know if you saw, New York Republicans have picked Mazi Pilip to succeed George Santos. She's an Ethiopian Jew, a black woman, but what do they know about history?
She sounds like a white supremacist,
right,
maybe like Larry Elder.
Right.
She's the black female face of white supremacy. That's got to be what it is. We always dreamed of having a colorblind society. And when you live in a world in which they're calling black people white supremacists, I guess maybe we've achieved it. I don't know.
Yeah, this is crazy. But, UPenn's president stepped down. It doesn't seem like Claudine Gay is going anywhere. I mean, we're seeing donors pull funding. But what else can be done to hold these college administrators accountable? Because all that's happening really is gaslighting, like white supremacy, what they're saying.
Well, as of right now, she's not going anywhere. But then again, neither are many prospective Harvard students. A study today said that early admissions applications are down 17%. Just like that, applications down 17%. Wow. And when you've got major employers saying we're no longer going to hire Harvard grads, you've got to imagine some of these kids are thinking about transferring, the ones who are still there. Mm-hmm. We're going to keep the pressure up. We've been sending hundreds and hundreds of emails every day. Our activists to the Board of Overseers at Harvard. We've made hundreds of phone calls as well. Last week, on one day alone, more than 5,000 Americans sent emails to the Board of Trustees at Harvard. We're going to keep the pressure up on her in the new year, and we're going to make sure everyone is endlessly reminded of these horrible, wretched, radical Marxist anti-Semites running higher education, both at Harvard and at many other campuses across America.
Right. And I just mentioned, the funding that's being pulled, but, we've addressed this on this show, too. You got a lot of, when you have, $100 million being pulled, that's just a drop in the bucket compared to what Qatar is doing as far as funding our college pledges. Harvard raked in $19.7 million from Qatar and Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's no surprise we're seeing groups like SJP mobilize on October 8th. They're prepared for this.
That's exactly right. And that's also why merely having some donors drop out of funding these universities, it's good, but it's not going to solve the problem. Because even forgetting the fact that they get millions and millions of our tax dollars, even though they're private universities, these universities have billion-dollar endowments. Yeah. They've got sugar daddies in oil-rich anti-Semitic nations. So no, I can't expect that merely cutting some of their funding will cause them to change. That's where we come in. When we make it so abundantly unpleasant for them to be horrible anti-American anti-Semites, that will force some of the actors to change their behavior. We know that Claudine Gay isn't going to hold these horrible anti-Semitic students accountable, and that's where accuracy in media comes in, and that's why they've swatted me now 9 times. That's why I get death threats in my email and death threat phone calls. My wife, my family, one of my staffers get these emails, phone calls. On social media, they tell me they want to put a Hamas bullet through my head. Claudine Gay won't hold them accountable. We will.
I'm so sorry to hear what's happening to you. And is the police taking this seriously? The actions against you, the hate against you?
You know, we've been coordinating with a number of government agencies on this, and our local law enforcement agency understands what's going on. In the swatting situations, they generally won't research it on their own, even though they could. So you're kind of forced to, and what one has to do is hire an attorney to file a John Doe lawsuit against the person who made the defamatory claims against you, and that enables you to then unveil documents and get closed-circuit TV footage of them buying the burner phones they use to call law enforcement. It's unfortunate that we have to do the crime fighting on our own, even though we pay tax dollars for that sort of thing.
Right.
But isn't that just like how we use UPS instead of the post office?
Right.
Isn't that just like how people have to send their kids to private schools instead of failing government schools? The government can't be trusted to do the things that we count on it to do.
But meanwhile, these Hamas lovers can go out there, they can burn American flags, they just cover their faces, you know, with a mask, and then they just get away with it. Nothing to see here, right? You know, to your point, just days after Claudine Gay apologized for her embarrassing response on anti-Semitism, depending on context, right? There was another protest in a Harvard library with these pro-Hamas supporters. Gay's words, Adam, they're clearly not matching up with the actions of what's happening in school, which is why it's so important what you continue to do.
Yeah, that's right. We're never, ever going to expect any of these university presidents to do even a half-decent job at holding these bad actors accountable, because it's not really to them at the end of the day about anti-Semitism. To them, it's about Marxism. It's about DEI. The reason they push these radical ideas, the reason they look the other way for anti-Semites is because DEI teaches them that oppressors and oppressed are the only groups that matter in civilized society, and that Jews, white people, were evil oppressors, and as such, we should be held to a different standard than those in the oppressed group. And they get it from K through 12 DEI across this country. Nearly every school district in America has full-time, non-classroom equity officer positions, 6-figure salaried positions focused exclusively into getting these ideas into your child's head. And I see this in red districts.
It's horrible. We need to flush those positions down the toilet. We need to get rid of DEI, ban it, because obviously we see what's happening, and DEI isn't just anti-Israel, it's very much anti-American. Adam Guillette, as always, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, a California farm